I think I'm saying that we struggle all our lives to answer it. But it's the struggle that is important. That's what helps us to define our place in the universe.
This is Beverly, Dr. Beverly, Dr. Beverly Crusher.
Look where we are. Here, all of us, in this moment. So let's do what we spent our entire lives learning to be great at.
And this is Crusher Convo. And welcome to Crusher Convo. We're crushing the conversation one episode at a time. And I'm here to talk about episode 5 of Starfleet Academy series Acclimation Mill. Remember, guys, if you have not seen this episode, please turn back now because there will be spoilers.
Spoilers.
You know, the way that this episode started was very fun, right? We are hearing Sam talk about something exciting happened to me and my life changed a week ago. Okay. And of course, they started off with like a crayon, like erasing the CBS production and putting a little stick figure of her flipping around. So you're like, okay, cool. This is going to be a fun episode. We're going to get to know more about Sam. What I didn't realize, however, is how impactful this episode was going to be. Like, we see her be silly and fun and her mission to help the makers understand organics so they can to become part of their society. Because they were saying that, you know, organics made them and then they turned them into basically slaves. So once the organics left, they were like, nope, we are not going to trust them. We're going to be off on our own. But clearly they do want to join other species and show that they are also sentient. And that's where Sam comes in. She is the emissary. She's supposed to be that bridge between the two worlds. That's a big role. I didn't really see what was coming next, and I should have, but I knew DS9 was going to be a very big focal point in this. I just didn't realize how important it was going to be.
What?
Is that why you hide your desire?
Do you just walk the halls asking people this stuff?
Your interest is very obvious.
Yeah, but in a cool way, right?
No, it's not. Does he think that?
Anyway, things are a little
Complicated. You know, between our schools right now. So I'm just
keeping a low profile.
But your pheromones...
Get out my face.
So this is the beginning where we're seeing the fun side. And this is where she's trying to explain to the makers about organics of how hard it is to try and figure them out. And she was using this as an example that, okay, these two really like each other. They really want to get to know each other more, and yet they're keeping their distance, and I don't understand why. Which is why she mentioned, like, your pheromones, though, are telling me a different story. And the Orion sniffing the pheromones, that's totally Tawny, because, of course, we learned a lot about the Orions in Lower Decks and the pheromones. So having that little Easter egg, I was laughing my head off. So I'm glad that was put in. And that's what's so great with writing like this. It wasn't shoved in your face. It was very just natural in its setting. So that's what I enjoy about this kind of writing of Trek. It's honoring the past. It's connecting to the future. It's connecting with the story. And that's really what the focal point was of this entire episode, especially when it comes to Sam and DS9.
Please select your topic of interest. The Sisko was created by the prophets to be their emissary to the people of Bejor. His mother, Sarah, was both human and prophet. So his path was predetermined long before he was the emissary.
So, what, we just have to do what we're told? No matter what?
Now, of course, the makers are like, hey, we want you to join this class. Doesn't matter that the semester's almost over. But it was talking about trying to explain about the unexplained. And this is one of the stories. Clearly, they don't know what exactly happened with Sisko. As far as we know, he was supposed to be back in a year. Guess that never happened. And everyone just thinks he's either with the prophets or he died. But there's nothing explaining what happened to him. So here she is on this mission because it said that he was an emissary. So at first, her mission was not personal. It was more like, oh, I'm an emissary. He's an emissary. I'm going to figure this one out. Now, Professor Isla would basically be like, no, join next year. It's fine. But because she was pushing and so drawn to Sisko, that Isla was all like, okay, well, you know what? If you do figure this out, you could teach the class. She was basically giving her a challenge, right? You're not sure what is happening in this moment, but as Sam is starting to learn more about Sisko and everything that he did, she really started to feel a connection. And, she's just trying to figure out who she is, okay? I think she said in the beginning she's only been alive for like 217 days. She's really still in her infancy. She's really still, figuring out herself and also on this important mission of trying to figure out organics, okay? But she goes onto this path of discovery, and it's so important that it is Sisko because Sisko was on his own path. And he went through so much stuff on DS9, and he had such close friends, and he had a lot of losses. And then to know that his path was predetermined in a way, being the emissary for the prophets and all that stuff, it just showed how inspirational he was, even for someone like Sam, who is still trying to figure out who she is, because she is literally the only one of her kind in this non-organic body, right? So this is just a nice little marriage of these stories. Of course, as she continues onto this journey, she gets herself in a little bit of a trouble, which we're going to showcase here in a minute. But on the other side, there is kind of another journey when it comes to Chancellor Kelrick talking, saying, I need to, do this dinner with these certain species who are very important and it'll be important for the War College. So, of course, Nala's very much like, I'll help you. And this, I think, is the funny aspect to this story. It's a good B plot. But, of course, we find out later that there's kind of more to his story that we don't know about.
The Alfarati would find any laughter gravely offensive.
Good news. Kelrick is never funny.
I possess a biting wit.
For the Comita soup ritual to work, it must be a sober affair.
Would you stop? Thank you, Doctor. Now, what do you appreciate most about your position as Chancellor?
That I answer to no one.
Easy, Kelrick. Allies, remember? Here's a lesson.
So here is this dinner. They're trying to prepare him for this other species dinner that they're supposed to do. And of course, she brings in the doctor and she brings in Reno. Hilarious. I was laughing so hard. Jet was cracking me up. Of course, the doctor is way too into it. And everything's going fine until something happens and they're chuckling because they're just finding it funny. But you can tell that there's this chip on his shoulder. And when he loses it, he blames Nala. And when he had said to her, you abandoned Starfleet and you're a Lanthanite, and why does it make your memory so small? And he takes off. I wonder if something had happened to him while she was gone. And it's like, you don't deserve to even be in this position because you left us. We had to pick up the pieces, not you, right? So I was curious about where this was going to go. And like I said before, he was desperate. He needed help, and she was willing to help him. But then this definitely put them at odds, at least on his end, at odds with her. Now, of course, Nala's going to take this and run with it, right? She's going to figure out a solution, and she's going to figure out a way to handle Kelrick. But as we're still seeing, there's still all of this animosity between the two schools. And it starts with Kelrick and Nala. And so she's trying to be like, hey, we really need to work together here, especially when our cadets are at each other's throats. We can't do that if we're not helping each other out. So in this case, the B plot was a very good little side story, but it also intertwined well with what Sam was going through on her journey, knowing more about Sisko.
Sadly, no. My creator, Dr. Lewis Zimmerman, met him once. And I did become acquainted with his son, Jake, years later. Fantastic writer.
You knew Jake? What did he tell you about his father? How could he bear to lose him like that?
The same way we all learn to live with loss. Get over it. Move on.
You can't just get over something like that.
You can. And you do.
Now, of course, the makers are telling Sam that if she fails this mission, she is going to be sent back and she's basically going to be nothing for the rest of her existence. And so she has a week to figure this out, to get enrolled, to figure out organics, all this stuff. So there's a lot of pressure on her shoulders. Now, there's a moment where all of a sudden, let's go, kids be kids, and they want to go to the bar. And of course, what happens? Caleb decides to mess with her matrix and got her drunk in a way. And the whole bar scene was silly, was funny. Again, with the War College, again with Darren hating the War College, possibly a little jealousy between Jaden and Kyle. I did love the Kyle and Jaden scenes. I thought they were cute. And there was a moment where, of course, the Vulcan and the Romulan, I can't remember their names, but, they're, of course, talking smack to Darren, and Kyle's just like, really love the jackets, guys. And, of course, they're looking at him like, dude, wrong side. Absolutely love it. I feel like it's hilarious. And, of course, we even saw this soon earlier when he was trying to separate the atrium, and Reno picked up like, oh, this is a cute little thing, and took off with it, right? It's just, they're trying to just showcase this, this butting of the heads of the two schools, which also intertwines with the two chancellors. So it's a perfect example. I do feel like, though, that something is going to happen probably at the end of the season, that these two schools are going to have to work together and they're going to do an amazing job. So I'm excited about what's going to, entail of that. But for now, there's still a lot of bridge building, still a lot of trust building that needs to come. And it's starting with these chancellors. Now, when it comes to Kelrick, he clearly has this, again, chip on his shoulder when it comes to Nala. But she was right in the part where she said that it's going to be hard for people like that other chancellor he's meeting at the dinner, or even them, or even his cadets, to trust him when he is already judging without context. She understands why he thinks that she abandoned Starfleet, but he doesn't really understand why, right? Because she hasn't told him, and she doesn't need to. It's her business, but he's already judging her. And that's where she's like, you need to change your mindset just a smidge, especially if you want to make this relationship with the schools work. My nitpick, I felt it was resolved a little too quickly. I really want to see a deeper conversation between these two characters, because I really want to see why he thinks that. What is the reason behind him assuming she abandoned them? Because I feel like, that pain runs deep for some reason. And so I would like for them to have a conversation. We might get it later, but in this story, and I get it, it's the B plot. It's not the main story, but maybe they could have ended a little bit where it's open-ended so we can get that conversation later. I just felt like it was just closed a little too quickly, but as a little nitpick, it's not the end of the world. But when you come back to this scene, though, with Sam, and she got drunk, and she got drunk, and she started a bar fight, and that was a nice little hit to that Vulcan's face. But she got in trouble by the doctor because he's like, I expected more from you and to not cause this trouble. But again, there's that little sensitivity levels rising, and he is dealing with his own loss. And you have to realize 800 years, he has loved so many people in his life, and they're all gone, and he's alone, and he just starts over. Unlike Data, who without his emotion chip, he was able to just like, that's life, it happens. That's his logic in a sense. For the Doctor, he does kind of have more of an emotional impact than Data did. You wonder what happened with the Doctor to make him feel this way. And then also what is going to happen to him at the end of the season. Because I'm afraid that the Doctor might die in order to save these cadets. And that would be so tragic. But it would be his way of honoring those that he cared about all these 800 plus years. So we'll see what happens at the end of the season. We are halfway through, and the second half is probably going to be very, very interesting.
Lose-lose is actually win-win.
But what if I can't do it? What if I'm not enough?
You are enough. My dad told me that so many times. I just wish I listened to him sooner.
Thanks for writing it down.
It's what I was made to do.
So there was 2 times that Jake showed up. When she was in the museum, we got to see a holographic image of him talking about his father. And I was like, oh, it's Jake. This is so exciting. This whole scene, I was bawling. Okay. The reason being is I felt so happy for Sirach. Now I know he's so close to Avery, and that's amazing. I don't know the behind the scenes story about what happened to Avery Brooks, and honestly, it's none of my business. But it's such an impactful thing for those who love him, especially the DS9 cast. And so not only was the scene of Jake honoring Benjamin, but it was Sirach honoring Avery. And so it was just such a beautiful moment. And Carice having this emotion in this scene, I'm sure it was so powerful for her to be able to utter these words. And we just felt her. No, but even though the character Sam is photonic, she has a lot of emotion. That is how she was built, just like the Doctor, right? They're becoming sentient. They are sentient. And she just embraced this moment here. I believe I had heard that Carice had said, hopefully I'm saying her name correctly, she didn't grow up with Star Trek, but she's understanding the importance of why Trek is so big in the community of hope and faith and compassion and love and all of that stuff. And her character is going through that journey. And she probably learned so much about Deep Space Nine that she was just like, oh my gosh, you know, there's such a huge story here. And she got to honor that. And that's huge, right? It's just a beautiful moment between these characters. And I was just so happy to see that for Sirach. And it was, again, it was just a love letter for Avery.
In my class next year. Find it in the course catalog under my full name, Isla Dax.
Wait. You're Dax. Like the Dax? As in mentor to Sisko Dax?
Well, I should have known you'd do your research. Benjamin would have liked you. He loved people who got into trouble for the right reasons.
So when I first saw this, I didn't notice the trill markings. And when she was like, are those trill markings? It took me a second to process what she was trying to say. And the moment she says, Isla Dax, I was like, holy shit. It's Dax. And this Dax has survived all these years, which I think is very rare for a trill. But anyways, here's what I loved. This was also this moment to have Dax still tell Sisko's story was honoring Terry. Okay. Now, someone online did get all upset with me because they're like, it's Terry and Nicole. Yes. Nicole did a wonderful job after Terry left. She was kind of thrown into it, unfortunately, but she did a wonderful job. The reason why I'm saying Terry specifically was because she was kind of ripped away from this character that she had built for those 6 seasons. And it was a special relationship that we saw between Jadzia and Benjamin, old man, all that stuff, mentor, as Sam called it. And it was very heartbreaking to see how it ended. And I feel like we didn't get that as much with Ezri that we did with Jadzia. I think that final season, it was more about the Worf aspect to it all, but not really the Benjamin. They had good moments, but not really the Benjamin aspect of it all. And so this, I felt, was an honor to Terry herself, that this character also means so much to us, and it was like a full circle. And so I think in this moment, it was like, thank you, Terry, for creating, for evolving Dax for those 6 years. So then, Nicole can step in the shoes for a season, and now Tawny is stepping in the shoes. So this is very special. I was so excited. And again, these actors love Avery. And I remember my very first STLV was 2022. My husband was just watching DS9 for the first time, and he loved it. So we went to the DS9 panel, and Terry was speaking highly of Avery, and she burst into tears. And you can just sense the love that they have for him. And so that's why I think this episode, I'm getting a little emotional just thinking about it, but I think this is why this episode was so important for Sirach, for Tawny to write it, just for us fans to watch this, and for Carice to take on this next generation of storytelling, especially for it's Black History Month, right? Carrying on the torch from what Nichelle Nichols, Whoopi Goldberg, Avery Brooks, and going on down the list, Sonequa even, and everybody. It's a beautiful thing to see. And I think this is Trek. This is what makes it so special. And it's such a great story. And it also gets you to figure out who you are as a person, right? So bravo to Tawny. And I think even Kirsten Byers had also co-wrote it. Like, just amazing women who know Trek. And just, again, it was just absolutely brilliant.
My tricorder.
So I was able to get my tricorder rating out on my Patreon page, and we officially got 7 votes. 57% said 5 Anselm books. 29% said 4 tomato in gumbo, 0 for 3 comida fish. And I got 14% for 1 or 2 bar fights. As you know, we have a lot of haters out there who just hate Kurtzman Trek, period. And they have been doing review bombing all over the place. If you even go to IMDb, there's like over 7,001 stars. It's absolutely stupid. And it's just because they want it to be canceled, because they're like, it's not my Trek, so I want it gone. I'm gonna keep this as PG as possible. But I feel like that 1 to 2 bar fights is a review bombing, and I don't accept it. Okay. I have not seen anything bad from anyone online who actually watched this episode, who understood it, who is writing about it, hated it that much, right? So I think this was a review bombing, and I still put it up because it was part of the thing, because maybe I'm wrong. Maybe someone who is enjoying Academy just really didn't care for this episode, and that's fine. That's totally fine. But because I'm getting so much hate everyone else who are reviewing Salon, Trek geeks, Trek culture, everybody. We're all getting stupid comments, and it's dumb. And if you really don't like it, then don't watch and get off our feed. Now, I am definitely giving it 5 Anselm books, okay? And I'm probably butchering that name because it means father in Bajoran. Total 5. 5, 5, 5, 6, 7 out of 5, okay? Loved this episode. I can't even really express into words how amazing it was. I'm going to watch it again because it's just that great. So yeah, definitely 5 out of 5. And it's just, again, a love story for DS9 and a love letter to Avery. All right, guys, go ahead and comment below with your thoughts about this episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you have not yet. I'm really excited to see what this second half of the season is going to go. We'll see more about it. But yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend and live long and prosper.
Divine laws are simpler than human ones, which is why it takes a lifetime to be able to understand them. Only love can understand them. Only love can interpret these words as they were meant to be interpreted.